Hey, what is up, mortals? Welcome to Season 1, Part 1. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. On July 15th, 2004, Izuku Midoriya is born. However, someone stares into an orb, seeing Izuku smiling, then saying he has finally been born, only a little longer until he'll be ready. Hopefully, I don't screw up this time because there isn't enough time for another. Izuku grows up like in canon, although something often doesn't feel quite right to him, almost like he's being watched. A year before the start of the series, Izuku is coming home from a cousin's home in another city, going to the train which he will then take to get home. Izuku is mumbling to himself while looking in his notebook, saying, I have to do more research on this new hero Mao. Lady, her quirk seems like it is quite an aid in a big battle. Then stepping onto the train and taking a seat without even looking up. Izuku is so fixated on his thoughts and book he doesn't even notice when all the people on the train disappear. Izuku only notices something is up when he starts to feel the freezing cold. Looking up to then notice no one else is there just before being launched from his seat because of the train's sudden acceleration. Izuku flies upward, getting stuck to the ceiling. Thinking, how am I up here and sticking when the train has only gotten fast, hitting the floor before he could finish his thought. Izuku then gets up, feeling around his body to make sure he's okay. After a little checking, he decides he's okay. Izuku then hears an ominous voice shout, come here. This shocks Izuku, shouting, who's there? Getting no response. Although Izuku thought he should be frightened, he somehow wasn't, knowing that he was safe and no harm would come to him here. Izuku then walked out of the train, seeing a bunch of weird-looking things that shouldn't be possible, taking notes on them as quickly as he could, noticing that a glass bottle-like thing was broken, saying, why is it broken? Izuku then continued on, all the while taking notes of the various weird things, until he walks into this huge room, seeing a man standing there with open arms, saying, I have waited a long time to meet you. Izuku then asks the man, who are you? Where am I? What is this place? How is some of that stuff possible? I have so many questions. The man then responds, they will all be answered in due time. For now, I'll tell you what you need to know. I am the wizard Shazaam. You are at the Rock of Eternity, which is the focal point of all magic. You have been foretold to become my champion. Izuku then stares at him with a blank stare for a minute before snapping back to reality, saying, so you're like Dr. Fate or Constantine. Shazaam smiles at the boy, saying, similar, but not quite. I use magic like them in the fact that I use magic, but unlike them I defend magic. Izuku nods at this, saying, okay, I somewhat get it. But what is this champion thing you talked about? Shazaam says, a champion is my representative who goes out and helps me defend magic, people from magic, with the power of the gods. Izuku replies, saying, wait, so I get a quirk? Shazaam quickly responds, no, not a quirk, just powers somewhat similar to a quirk in the power sense. Izuku freezes for a minute, starting to tear up, saying, wow, how am I worthy of such a gift? Isn't there others that would be better suited than a quirkless kid like me? Shazaam quickly replies with concern on his face, no, it must be you. Others have tried but have caused great horrors. This shocks Izuku, then saying, has there been other champions, and if so, what did they do? Shazaam stares at Izuku, starting to pace slightly with a methodical look on his face, stopping to then say, you're right, you deserve to know. A long time ago there was a boy about your age. We chose him as the champion. He then shared his power with his uncle, but the uncle became power hungry, killing the boy and taking the power for just himself. He then freed the 7 deadly sins, then pointing to the statues of the 7 deadly sins, who went on to kill millions, and the other wizards, a part of the Council of Wizards. My brothers and sisters were gone in the blink of an eye, leaving me to be the only one, so I looked for a new champion. After searching for some time, I conjured a prophecy which foretold of you. Izuku stares at him in shock, then saying, what happened to him? Shazaam says, I sent him to the farthest star in the sky, and someday he will return and the new champion will have to fight him. Although, now that you know that, Izuku Midoriya, will you become my champion? Izuku looks at the desperate look on Shazaam's face, realizing he has to do this, no matter how scary he made it sound, replying with a simple yes. Shazaam then smiles at Izuku, stating, say my name and my power will flow through you. With a smile on his face, Izuku then shouts, Shazam. Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive is a channel based on a variety of anime lore. If you are interested in content like this, make sure you click the icon on the top right corner or check the description below for a link to the channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. After shouting out Shazaam, a lightning bolt came down on Izuku, transforming him into an adult version of himself with the powers of the gods. Izuku looks at himself, stating, this feels weird. Wait, my voice sounds different. What do I do now, Shazaam? The second Izuku says Shazaam again, another bolt comes down, transforming himself into his original form. Shazaam looks at Izuku with a smile, saying, now that you have my power, you will come back here tomorrow and we will train on what you can now do. Although, know this, if you require my power, all you must do is shout out my name to transform to your champion form or your regular form. And now that you have my power, your mark, those with magic may seek you out for aid or who knows what. I will send you home now, but to come back simply go to a door and think that you want to come here, then walk through said door. With that, Izuku starts to fade, appearing outside his house with all his things, being excited for the days to come. The next day, Izuku learns who his powers derive from, which Solomon, who lends him his wisdom, Hercules, who lends him his strength, Atlas, who lends him his stamina, Zeus, who lends him his power, Achilles, who lends him his courage, and Mercy, who lends him his speed, which when combined make the word Shazam. After this, Izuku trains with Shazaam, or the wizard as he deems him, for a year, periodically appearing to save the day in his transformed form, being deemed Captain Thunder by the media. Side note, Izuku calls Shazaam wizard since he doesn't want to keep transforming back and forth. Izuku during this time has had run-ins with plenty of heroes. He enjoys gaining the autographs of them if they don't say you don't have a license, so I'm going to have to put you under arrest, but for those he just ran or flew away, typically getting away without any force. The only hero Izuku had to do something to get away from was Hawks, who he shot lighting at, immediately shouting "Sorry Hawks," then zooming away before he could recover. With each encounter, Izuku became more adept with his new abilities, becoming more confident and starting to stick up for himself when Bakugo made fun of him. At the usual start of the series, Izuku is better built and more confident in himself. When he sees the battle on the train track with Kamui Woods, he transforms, then flying and charging and knocking out the villain in one hit before Mount Lady's kick landed, taking the credit from both of the two heroes, then leaving before the cops arrive. This leads to chatter in the crowd about who that vigilante was. Later, when Izuku gets threatened by Bakugo after class, instead of him backing down, he fights back, smacking Bakugo in the face, then running off. This leads to a slight chase where Izuku loses Bakugo by going to a dead end and flies away after transforming, confusing Bakugo when he turns slightly after Izuku, all while shouting, "I'm going to kill you, shitty nerd." Then looking in confusion at the dead end with no one in it, confused, Izuku laughs in the sky, then flying off to under a bridge to transforming back right before a villain comes out of the sewer. This is the sludge villain, who grabs him like cannon, stopping Izuku from shouting out Shazam, leading to Izuku grabbing at him, not as afraid as Cannon, instead of being more determined. Izuku squirms, getting his legs slightly free before All Might appears, who quickly takes the villain down with a Texas smash. This leads to Izuku getting launched with pieces of the villain, getting caught by All Might before hitting the ground, not being knocked out like Cannon. This leads to a slight conversation between the two. All Might: "Yes, are you okay, boy? Nothing broken? Oh my god, you're All Might, I'm your biggest fan. Will you sign my notebook, please?" All Might smile at the request, calming down slightly, having some relief wash over him, replying, "Of course." After signing his notebook and noticing all the other hero signatures and notes, he says, "Boy, you need to stay back while I collect the villain. I don't know what kind of tricks he could pull out." Izuku agrees, saying, "Of course, sir, but it looks like your Texas smash took him out for now. Villains are tricky sometimes because they try to fake it to attempt to get away, but this time it looks like you're right." Once collecting the villain, All Might gets ready to jump away. This shocks Izuku, who then grabs onto him before he can jump like in Canon. The events go the same as Canon, since Izuku was told by Shazam to not reveal his power to anyone unless necessary. Side note, even his mom doesn't know about it. When Izuku sees the chaos going on in the distance, he thinks All Might is wrong, but he doesn't know the whole picture, so I can't judge him on his opinion. He doesn't know how lucky I am. Then transforming and flying towards the smoke. Next time, Izuku will find out what the cause of the smoke. Chaos is fighting off the villain, and who knows, you'll just have to wait until next time. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there is a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We The Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the recruitment Discord in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day. Hey, what is up, mortals? Welcome to Season 1 Part 2 of What If Deku Had Shazaam Powers. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Last time in What If Midoriya had Shazam's powers, Izuku is bestowed the powers of Shazam, training for a year, then being saved by All Might and learning of his injury. Now we continue with Izuku flying towards the smoke of some incident, more determined than ever to show All Might that he's wrong. Izuku arrives quickly, immediately noticing that the villain was the same one All Might had beaten, being surprised that it got away. Using the wisdom of Solomon, Izuku realized he was at fault for the villain's escape, saying, "What have I done? I have to make this right." Izuku then takes note of the heroes who are there, stating none of the heroes have the right quirks to take this guy down. Izuku then uses Solomon's wisdom again and figures out what the villain is weak to as well, noticing that the villain has a hostage. Without thinking, Izuku flies up, getting some more speed, then charging with his fists out with lightning crackling off of them. Izuku is about to hit the villain but stops in his tracks when the villain moves the hostage into a shield position blocking where his attack would have hit. Izuku then releasing the hostage as Bakugo. Izuku's face fills with shock for a split second after the second Izuku starts to move before thinking, grabbing Bakugo out of the sludge villain and throwing him towards the heroes. Although the villain is able to grab Izuku and hold him, the villain then gloats, stating, "So you got the kid free? So what? Now I have you I can use for a meat puppet." Izuku smiles at this, saying, "Is that so? The way I see it is I no longer have to hold back." Izuku then starts to electrocute the villain, slowly turning up the juice until the villain falls apart, falling unconscious. The crowd is in shock, staring at Izuku, although he pays them no attention. Instead, he simply pushes the goop off him, rolling his eyes at the mess, saying, "This won't do." Then taking his cape off and placing all the goop into the cape and tying it up in a blur. Izuku then looks up, smiling at the crowd, saying, "I just collected him all up for you guys. Is everyone okay?" Immediately after this, the crowd cheers, with some saying, "Wow, that guy is strong. None of the other heroes couldn't do anything to that guy, and he saved the kid who was trapped. Amazing." Izuku is then swarmed by reporters there who are trying to ask questions like who he is and if he was the vigilante the public deemed as Captain Thunder. Although, once the cops hear he's a vigilante, they try to arrest Izuku, but Izuku flies away, saying, "Sorry, it seems I got to go," not answering any of the reporters' questions. While flying away, Izuku has a smile on his face, saying, "I saved Kachan, but if it wasn't for me being stupid, he would never have been attacked in the first place, so I'll apologize to him tomorrow." Wait, how would he know I saved him or why I'm apologizing? He'd just call me a quirkless weirdo like he usually does. Ugh, the difficulties of a secret identity. Izuku then lands in a dead end, not paying attention to if anyone is around since he's so caught up in his headland, and no one is ever there, right? Izuku then shouts Shazam, without noticing All Might at the exit of the dead end. Izuku turns with his grin still on his face until he sees All Might standing there in his buff form, freezing, then saying, "The wizard is going to kill me." "Boy, I thought you said you were quirkless. Why did you lie to me?" "Oh, All Might, I can explain, but it's a bit complicated." Izuku then explains to All Might how a year ago he was chosen to be this wizard's champion, and whenever he says his name, the living lighting comes down, transforming me into a hero with the power of the gods. All Might then stares at Izuku for a minute, stroking his chin, processing what he was just told, all while deflating down to his regular form. All Might then speaks, saying, "So this wizard who has the powers of the gods choose you to become a hero with said powers, but why did he choose you for this role?" Izuku replies, saying, "Well, he conjured a prophecy a couple thousand years ago, looking for who would succeed him, and well, it said I was to be his successor and that I'd become the greatest hero the world will have seen." This piques All Might's interest, saying, "So what kind of powers do you have when you are transformed and not transformed?" Izuku says, "While I'm transformed, I have super strength. I can fly, run at super speed, shoot lightning. I have a sort of super intelligence, increased durability, increased endurance, and some other little things here and there. Although, when I'm not transformed, I am just regular Izuku Midoriya." All Might replies, "Wow, you have quite a lot of abilities, but there is one glaring negative I see in your power." "What is it?" "You have no way to defend yourself in your regular form. However, I may have a way to help you with that. Meet me at Dagaba Beach tomorrow at 10 a.m. All Might then gives Midoriya his number, saying, "If you need anything, don't hesitate to call me." Then inflating into his hero form and jumping away towards the sunset, Midoriya then goes home, curious about what All Might wants to talk to him about tomorrow. Once Midoriya gets up, he leaves to head to the beach, saying to his mom, "I'm going to meet up with some friends. I'll see you later, Mom," hugging her before he finally goes. Midoriya looks at his phone, seeing how long of a walk it is to the beach, seeing it's a 2-hour-long walk. He instead decides it would be better if he used his powers to get there quicker and not leave All Might waiting for him. Izuku then heads towards his roof exit. Once he gets up there, he does a quick check to make sure no one is up there. Once he's certain it's clear, he shouts Shazam, flying off towards the beach. Once Izuku gets there, he looks around in the sky to make sure no one will see him land, transform, noticing a single figure in the parking lot, then releasing All Might's waiting for him. Izuku lands beside All Might, saying, "Sorry I'm late. Shazam, what did you want to talk about?" All Might assures him, saying, "It's no big deal that you're a little late. If anything, I was a little early. I just wanted to test you with something, if you're up to it." Izuku smiles at him, replying, "What's the test?" All Might explains how he wants to see how well he could do in a head-to-head fight against him, and explains how he's looking for a successor. As well, if Izuku was up to it, he would like him to be it, but only if he can pass the test. Izuku says, "Okay, All Might, let's do this, but if I may ask, a successor for what?" "You'll find out if you pass the test, young Midoriya." "Oh, so that's how we're going to play it. Okay then, Shazam." All Might brings Izuku over to behind the garbage where no one can see, then buffing up and saying, "Don't hold back, Midoriya, go all out and I will too. Are you sure that's what you want?" "Yes, fine. If that's what you want, then let's go." Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive is a channel based on a variety of anime lore. If you are interested in content like this, make sure you click the icon on the top right corner or check the description below for a link to the channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. The second Izuku stops talking, a sonic boom happens from Izuku flying towards All Might. Izuku flies so fast at All Might that he's barely able to see him move before being hit by Izuku. Izuku's hit launches All Might into the air, where he then grabs onto him, bringing him higher and higher, hoping to knock him out from the lack of oxygen. All Might smiles at him, saying it's not going to be that easy. Detroit Smash. The hit knocks Izuku away from All Might, losing his grip on him and leaving All Might to plummet to the ground. However, All Might does multiple smashes to get into the reach of Izuku, where he then grabs him and throws him to the ground as hard as he thinks Izuku will be able to take, causing a huge boom. All Might thinks Izuku is down for the count now, landing on him with a smile, saying good try young Midoriya, reaching out his hand. Although Midoriya smiles at this, shouting Shazam, causing the living lighting to come down, hitting All Might, making a scorching hole in his hand, knocking All Might out from the excruciating pain, and transforming Izuku back into his regular form. Izuku then gets up, saying I didn't think I'd have to do that. Good fight, All Might. All Might. Izuku looks at All Might, noticing a hole in between his thumb and index finger, freaking out, saying oh my god, what have I done? I need to get some kind of help. Shazam. Izuku then picks up All Might and flies to the closest door he can find, heading to the Rock of Eternity to gain the aid of Shazam. Once Izuku finds a door, he thinks of the Rock of Eternity and opens the door, which leads to the rock, then pleading for Shazam to help him save All Might and that he's that hero he's told him so much about. Shazam looks at Izuku for a moment, saying okay Izuku, just make sure this doesn't happen again. Magic is amazing, but it's not a miracle worker. Shazam then heals All Might. All Might then slowly gets up, saying what happened and where are we, young Midoriya? We're at the Rock of Eternity, so basically the center point of all magic, and I brought you here because my lighting made a hole in your hand. Sorry, although I got the wizard to fix you up, at least this time. All Might then quickly looks at his hand, seeing it looks completely normal. Then noticing how his left side isn't in pain like it usually is, lifting his shirt to see only a tiny skin-colored scar. Then looking up, All Might says, wait, why, you fixed my respiratory system? Yes, I thought while I was healing one thing, why not heal another? All Might then stands up and hugs Shazam, saying thank you. I'm forever in your debt. Now I have more time to save people. Shazam smiles at this, saying you owe me nothing. Izuku is the one who got you to me so quick anyway, but all I ask of you is that you keep being a good hero and keep him safe, gesturing towards Izuku. All Might shakes his head at him, then saying Izuku, you passed my test, and even if you didn't, I knew you were the right one. Will you accept my quirk and become my successor? Izuku gives a confused look, saying ha, leading All Might to explaining one for all to him and the wizard. Once being explained, Izuku says why me? I already have this amazing power. With that, another hero could be so much better. Even though that's true, if you aren't in your transformed state, you are just a risk to yourself and something for the heroes to worry about. But with one for all, no matter what form you were in, you could help in some way. After hearing this explanation, Izuku accepts one for all, where they then agree to have Izuku train for a month in his regular form, either here or at the beach with All Might. A month later, Izuku has cleared the beach using his regular, transformed forms and is given one for all. Then for the next 6 months, he trains to be able to control 6% of one for all, figuring out full cowling quicker because of the wisdom of Solomon. However, Izuku realizes that when he is transformed, he can use 100% without reputations, but he needs to learn how to control his output of the quirk. All Might and Izuku also decide that he shouldn't use his transformed form in his test, since he's kind of a vigilante in that form. For Izuku's last month before the entrance exam, he focuses on learning the material more than training his body. On the day of the exam, it all goes the same until they get told to start. Once being told to go, Izuku is nearly able to keep up with Ida and he starts to destroy robots. Although, if Izuku saw anyone that needed some help, he went out of his way to help, whether it be them hurt, they need to get to first aid, or a robot was about to hit them, he'd help. When Izuku sees the 0-point robot come out, he decides to take it out, since someone could get hurt from it managed to hit them. Izuku then rushes underneath it, shouting Shazam, causing the living lighting to come down, making a huge hole in the robot, but the robot was so armored the bolt didn't reach Izuku. This causes Izuku to take a mental note on the fact that the bolt didn't reach him. Side note, Izuku took out the robot so quickly that Ochoko wasn't even caught under any rubble. Once the test is over, Izuku sees if there is anyone who needs any help, although when he sees Recovery Girl, he slightly fanboys out, asking for her autograph. Then finally, once Izuku is certain everyone is okay, he heads home, texting All Might about his exam with a smile on his face. A couple of days later, Izuku gets his letter from UA seeing All Might, who says, "Good job, young Midoriya, you made it into the hero course with the highest score and even beat the record. That was my record, but I'm happy if anyone were to break it, you did. I'll see you around." Next time, we will see how Izuku fares now being a part of UA. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there is a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the recruitment Discord in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day. Hey, what is up, mortals? It is welcome to Season 1 Part 3 of What If Deku Had Shazaam powers. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the story. Last time, Izuku was chosen to be All Might's successor, and was given One for All. Then Izuku used One for All to get into UA, passing the tests and getting the highest score UA has ever gotten. The day before Izuku starts at UA, All Might contacts him and congratulates him for getting into UA just like in canon. However, All Might does warn Izuku not to use the powers the wizard gave him unless absolutely necessary. This is because if people learn Izuku has all this power, lots of eyes will go on to him and what you can all do. We then jump to the next morning, wherein the start of Izuku's career at UA. Izuku wakes up, grabbing his things and getting changed before quickly trying to head out saying, "Talk to you later, Mom." Then giving her a hug. Ko gives him a smile saying, "I'm sorry for saying you couldn't be a hero, Izuku. It's just, they said you would be quirkless." Ko then starting to tear up. Although Izuku stops leaving and wipes Ko's tears away, telling her, "Mom, what you said only made me push myself harder and made me want to be a hero even more." Ko smiles at this before Izuku continues saying, "I really need to get going, Mom. Love you." Then closing the door, heading for the train station. Izuku then gets to his class at UA, opening the door, not contemplating the bad people that could be in his class. However, instead he accepting whoever was in his class was in his class. Nonetheless, once Izuku opens the door, most of the class stops talking, specifically those who were in his test area. Ada then walking up to him saying, "Hello, I'm Tenya Ada, you must be Izuku Midoriya. I would like to know how you figured out the secret way of getting points." This somewhat overwhelms Izuku, and he starts to reply but is interrupted by Bakugo, who pulls him aside saying, "How did you do it, Deku? How did you cheat it, you quirkless loser?" Izuku just stares at Bakugo. But once again, before Izuku can speak, Aizawa and Ochoko walk in, and everyone shuts up and quickly gets to their seats. Aizawa's talk with the class goes the same as canon, where he lectures them briefly for not quieting down quick enough and then telling them off their quirk assessment test. Once getting to the testing grounds, Aizawa says, "We are here to test your quirk's potential. Hey Midoriya, you got the highest score in the entrance exam in junior high. What was your best result for the softball throw?" Hearing this shocks Bakugo, causing him to have little explosions go off in his hands in rage. Not even noticing Bakugo and his mini explosions, Izuku replies, 60 meters. Now try throwing it with your quirk." Izuku then charges up to 6% of full cowl and throws the ball, getting 480 meters. Seeing Izuku use a quirk infuriates Bakugo, who rushes at Izuku saying, "You damn nerd, tell me how you did that." Then before Aizawa can even react to stop Bakugo, Izuku has moved. Izuku moves so quickly everyone's barely able to see him move to Aizawa's side. This shocks everyone even more, and Bakugo stops with his mouth wide open saying, "You damn nerd," and storming back into the group of students. Seeing all this makes the class excited, and some even say that this will be fun since they can use their quirks. Although, hearing this, Aizawa says, "Oh, you think this will be fun? Well, let's up the stakes. Whoever gets the lowest score will be expelled." Hearing this shocks everyone, making most of the class nervous, but Izuku tries to shrugs it off. The rest of the tests go by smoothly for Izuku, and he even gets first place out of the class. Also, the rest of the class results are the same. After going through all the tests, Minda gets the lowest score and is told he is expelled. This surprises Yaoyorozu, who asks, "You were serious about the explosion?" "Yes, if you can't make it in this simple test, you have no place here." Minta then runs off heavily crying, and saying, "How am I going to get with the babes now?" This makes Izuku feel bad for him. And once Aizawa tells the class that they are dismissed, he goes up to Aizawa to try and reason with him. "Mr. Aizawa, can I speak with you for a second?" "Sure, Midoriya, what is it?" "Well, sir, I don't think it's really fair for you to expel Minta here, since not everyone has quirks that are helpful for these kinds of tasks, so is there any way you can not expel him?" Aizawa looks at Izuku with a surprised look saying, "Are you trying to tell me how I should teach my class?" "No, sir, it's just I thought." "Yes, you thought, and that's your problem here. I make the calls for my class, but since it concerns you so much on what my plans are, I was never going to expel him forever. He'll be back here tomorrow." It's a strategy to show students the brink of losing the chance of going here, and seeing that pushes them to be even better. Aizawa then leaves Izuku saying, "I'll see you tomorrow." Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we have a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. If you are interested in content like this, please go check the description below or click the eye icon in the top right corner. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. Once changing, Izuku goes to leave talking with Ida about what Aizawa had said to him about Mineta. Ida then pauses for a minute after getting told about Izuku and Aizawa's talk, then saying, "Well, Midoriya, it is his class and he has the knowledge on what helps push us into becoming the best of heroes. So, if he believes this will help Mineta, I would trust his judgment." Although, before Izuku is able to respond, Uraraka walks up to them and has the same chat with Izuku and Ida as in canon. The next day after their regular classes, All Might enters saying, "I am here. So, today I will be training you in the art of battle. Now, go get changed into your hero costumes and meet me down at Ground Beta." Everyone's hero costume is the same looking except Izuku's. His costume looks like what he wears in his transformed form, but without the cape. The pairings are the same as canons, and everyone's battles happen the same except Izuku and Uraraka versus Ida and Bakugo. The first significant change is Izuku isn't as nervous when he's told he has to fight Bakugo. Instead, Izuku's nervous at the fact that he got grouped up with Uraraka. Another change is that their strategy for the battle, where in canon they tried to split up, they decide it would be better to stay as a group instead. Once getting into the building, Uraraka uses her quirk on herself and Izuku powers up to 6%, then going through the building as quickly as he can. However, once clearing the first floor, they run into Bakugo. Bakugo is surprised by them not expecting to run into them so quickly, so he shoots an explosion at the two of them. Seeing the explosion coming and knowing he can't dodge it because of its proximity, Izuku steps in front of Uraraka, taking the brunt of the blast to his back. Then once Izuku takes the hit, he turns around and rushes Bakugo as quickly as he can with the capture tape in hand. Although once Izuku rushes out of the smoke to capture Bakugo, Izuku sees no one there. This causes Izuku to quickly look around for a second before coming back to Uraraka to check on her. Once getting back to her, Izuku asks Uraraka, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. What about you?" "I'm okay. Let's keep going." They then move upstairs, certain that the weapon has to be on this floor. After a brief search, Uraraka and Izuku hear a ruckus in a room and presume that it must contain the device in it. Izuku then comes up with the plan to bust in through a side wall instead of the one entrance, since it would give him the element of surprise, unlike if he went in the way they would be expecting. As well, deciding once they bust in, he'd distract Ida and Bakugo while at the same time, Uraraka goes in through the main entrance and goes to touch the device. Everything is silent before they hear the sound of Izuku yelling "smash." Once smashing through the wall, Izuku sees a huge explosion coming towards him. Side note, this explosion is from one of Bakugo's gauntlets. Izuku throws another smash at the explosion, but Izuku's smash only partly depleted some of the explosion. After the explosion, everything is quiet in the observation room until everyone hears Izuku, who says, "Is that all you got, Kaken?" Then having the smoke clear and everyone seeing Izuku now with burns on both his arms. Immediately after seeing Izuku hurt, All Might says, "Bakugo, you are not allowed to use your gauntlets again without forfeiting the match. You could have killed him." Bakugo tusks at this, saying, "We won't need them again to beat Deku and the girl." While at the same time, Ida rushes Izuku trying to take him down. Izuku sees this coming, however, and kicks the dust up into Ida's eyes, blinding him. Then with Ida's vision impaired, Izuku is able to use the capture tape on him before Bakugo gets to them. The second Bakugo gets nearly close enough to attack Izuku, Bakugo sets off an explosion blocking Izuku's line of sight, then redirecting himself to go for an above attack, just like what he did in their first canon fight. Getting hit again causes Izuku to fall to the ground, then throwing a kick at Bakugo, who easily dodges it, going in for another counter attack. After hitting him with this attack, Bakugo continues to just wail in on him, hitting him with attack after attack, and Izuku is helpless to stop him. Merely, he is just trying to defending himself. Then during the barrage of attacks, Bakugo hears All Might shout over the speakers, "Hero Team wins." Once hearing this, Bakugo stops his attacks, looking up to see Uraraka touching the weapon. Seeing Izuku beat him causes Bakugo to freeze, where he then just looks down at the beaten Izuku get carried out by the infirmary robots, finally realizing how much he had hurt Izuku in that one attack. Side note, All Might was yelling at him to stop, but he was so caught up in the moment that he had tunnel vision on just hitting Izuku over and over. Although, before Bakugo can think about it anymore, he hears Ida say, "A little help, Bakugo." This snaps Bakugo back to reality, where he then helps Ida out of the capture tape, then leaving without saying a word to either Ida or Uraraka. As stated earlier, the other battles happen the same as canon. The only differences during this time is the class's reaction to Bakugo coming back, where when he came into the observation room, the class tried to get some distance from him. As well, when All Might asked the class's thoughts on the things that they could have improved upon during the battle, where Momo said, Bakugo got too invested in the exercise, taking the attack on Midoriya too far, and using his gauntlets in that close of the vicinity to the device that was supposed to be treated as a bomb was stupid because it could have set it off in a real situation. Izuku's problem was that he could have set the bomb off by breaking down that wall, but his plan was still solid if they had that info. Ada's problem was that he rushed Izuku without Bakugo's aid, which caused him to get captured, despite everyone else's negatives in battle. Uraraka was the MVP since she was able to not get hurt or captured and was able to get the device without notice. All Might looks at Yaoyorozu with a smile, saying, "Yes, all that and a couple of other things you missed here and there." Also thinking, at the same time, how good she is to be able to observe all that so early into her time at UA. After all the other students' fights, Bakugo leaves, not being confronted by Izuku, because he was in so much worse condition than in canon, requiring more kisses from Recovery Girl to get healed. Sometime after this, we see the electing of the class president, where Izuku is voted up as the class president like canon, and Yaoyorozu is elected as his vice president. However, unlike canon, Izuku isn't scared of being chosen, instead saying thanks to those who voted for me with a slight smile on his face. As well, later when the school sirens go off, Izuku sees that it's the media who are outside. He uses his quirk to get above the crowd of students, then informing them. Then a couple of days later, All Might goes and defeats various villains on his commute to school, but since he was healed by Shazaam, he's able to meet the students at the USJ. When the class heads to the USJ, Izuku doesn't force everyone into a single file line unlike Ada, where instead, he just letting everyone figure it out. Once arriving at the USJ, they meet with All Might and 13, who then explain what they will be doing at the USJ while walking over to the top of the steps before a purple mist appears in the center of the USJ. Once the villains appear, All Might tells 13 and the kids, "Those are real villains. 13, go and get the kids out of here, Aizawa, and I can handle this." 13 nods at this and starts heading to the exit with the kids. Sadly though, this is the end for today's video. But will All Might and Aizawa be able to beat the villains? Will Class 1A even be able to escape? If this video gets enough likes, we will find out next time. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there is a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the recruitment Discord in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time. Peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day. Hey, what is up, mortals? It is here. And before we get into today's video, there is something I'd like to say. Welcome to Season 1 Part 4. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the story. Last time, Class 1A arrived at the USJ for hazard training, but before they were able to train, villains showed up who came to kill All Might. All Might then told the kids and 13 to get away and go get reinforcements. Now let's continue with the story. All Might then shouts, "You villains need to rethink your strategy because I am here and I'm going to take you down." 0. The moment All Might stops talking, he rushes forward, taking down a plethora of villains so quickly that no one even sees him moving. Although, All Might does leave some of the villains for Aizawa to take down. After seeing All Might and Aizawa taking down lots of his allies, Shigaraki tells Namu to kill Aizawa, where Aizawa is then quickly knocked out by the Namu. But before the Namu is able to do too much damage, All Might steps in, starting their fight. The fight is similar to canon, but a difference is All Might is holding his own much better since he was healed. Although Kurogiri sees that the students are trying to run, so he opens a portal to stop the students from escaping. All Might tries to go stop Kurogiri, but Namu keeps him locked in their fight. Since All Might and Aizawa aren't able to help like in canon, 13's quirk gets reversed onto her. Most of Class 1A gets teleported to various parts of the USJ. For simplicity's sake, we are going to have everyone go to the same places, and the same events are going to happen like canon except Izuku's group. When Izuku goes through the portal, he powers up 2 full cowl, and when he lands in the water, he quickly swims up to the surface and Sue pulls him up to the boat where, unknown to Izuku, she saves him from a villain. When Izuku gets on the boat and sees the villains surrounding the boat, he internally thinks, "Should I use Shazaam's power? No, I can't reveal it unless absolutely necessary. I'll only use it as a last resort. Until then, I'll rely on one for all." Izuku then asks Sue and Minta about their quirks, and he gets the same explanation as in canon. Izuku then uses the same plan as canon, breaking his one finger to cause the water to knock out the villains, where Sue then grabs Izuku while he's mid-jump heading to the main area where All Might and Namu's fight still rages on. Once getting to the main area, Izuku says, "You two need to get out of here. I'll help get Aizawa out of here. Just grab him quickly, Izuku." Izuku then slowly gets over to Aizawa, pushing against the wind pressure caused by All Might and Namu's fight. Once getting to the injured Aizawa, Izuku picks him up, then carrying him over to the steps where Sue and Minta are climbing up. Since Izuku is using full cowl, he quickly catches up with Sue and Minta, who then start to help Izuku with carrying Aizawa. Once getting to the top of the steps, there is a massive boom, which shakes the whole area, also causing all the glass from the dome to shatter in an instant. After getting back up, Izuku looks over to the dust cloud that is formed in concern. Once the cloud clears, Izuku sees Namu is dead, having its head and torso wholly demolished, as well having the rest of its body crushed barely within recognition. As well, seeing a man standing on top of the corpse that has a black costume with a black lightning bolt on it similar to Izuku's transformed state. This shocks Izuku, who mutters, "Oh no, it's him, it's Black Adam." Once Izuku comes back to his senses, he looks around the field to see where All Might went, eventually seeing him badly beaten but still moving at the other end of the opening, then breathing a sigh of relief. Black Adam then flies over to the barely conscious All Might, then picking him up by the neck, then shouting, "I know the wizard's new champion is here somewhere. Come out and I won't kill this man or anyone else. I only want to take the power back that's rightfully mine, so come out and you'll all be spared." Seeing how this person just single-handedly killed Namu, Shigaraki tells Kurogiri to get them out of here, which he does, as well taking with them a few of their colleagues from various places in the USJ facility. For those who don't know who Black Adam is, he was the wizard's previous champion, but let me explain him a bit more in depth. Adam, or as he was then known as Teth Adam, was a slave back in ancient Egypt, and Adam only had one piece of family left, who was his nephew, and one day Adam defended his nephew, who was then brought before the Council of Wizards. The council offered the nephew the position of being their champion, as well telling him that if he accepted he could save his uncle by sharing his power with him. Once hearing this, the boy quickly accepted. After accepting his role, the boy planned to set out with his uncle to go and free the slaves and put those who abused them in some kind of jail, but the uncle wanted to kill those slave owners and get revenge. Since he wanted this revenge so much before his nephew could transform, Adam killed his nephew, then going on to cause chaos, killing millions of people as well as most of the Council of Wizards except Shazaam, who was able to send him to the furthest star in the sky. Ever since that day, Adam has been flying back, not dying, since a champion can't die of natural causes in their transformed form, and now he has returned. "You can't take that guy on. He was able to take down All Might." "Minta's right. You need to come with us. Please just trust me and take him. Oh, and please don't talk about what you're about to see me do." Izuku then waits for Black Adam to look the other way, and once he does, Izuku powers up to the highest percent his body can take that won't break it, and jumps at him as hard as he can, then shouting Shazam. Once Izuku transforms, he adds on as much flight speed as he can, and Izuku powers 1 for all up to 100%, then punching Black Adam as hard as he can, which sends Adam flying off, making him lose his grip on All Might. Izuku then uses this breather to ask All Might if he's okay. All Might says, "I'm okay, young Midoriya, don't worry about me. Focus on the villains and whoever that other guy is. That's the past champion I told you about." All Might. This shocks All Might, causing his smile to disappear, forming into a slight panic look for just a second before he gets his composure back. Although, before Izuku and All Might can continue their conversation, Black Adam comes flying back, slamming into Izuku, launching him into the stairs leading to the exit, then saying, "There you are." Izuku then pulls himself out of the rubble, saying, "So you're Black Adam. It was inevitable for this to happen, so come on, let's do this." The two of them then fly at each other, and once colliding, causing a huge defining boom. They then get into a fist fight, with each hitting the other repeatedly, and with each hit causing another loud boom, until Black Adam hits Izuku with a lightning blast, which stagers Izuku, giving Black Adam the opening to just repetitively plumbline him. Adam continues to hit Izuku over and over again until All Might appears, catching one of Adam's arms and striking him. Although this barely does anything to Adam. With an annoyed stare, Adam grabs All Might by the throat once more, now cutting All Might off from being able to breathe, then saying, "Well boy, you either give me your power or I kill this man," before moving on to everyone else here, and then you promise if I give you my power you won't hurt anyone else here. I may want your power, but I am a man of my word. Do we have a deal? Fine, I'll give you the power, just let him go. Adam then throws All Might behind him, then spreading his arms out and closes his eyes, waiting for Izuku to give him his power. There is no noise in the room until all of a sudden you hear Izuku yell Shazam. Mid-ad. Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we have a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. If you are interested in content like this, please go check the description below or click the eye icon in the top right corner. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. Adam then opens his eyes seeing Izuku still transformed, then shouting, "What did you do, boy?" Angrily, "Wow. So this is what this power feels like, Izuku. Now let's get rid of this guy." Black Adam then looks behind him seeing the newly transformed All Might having a look of shock and anger fill his face. "I'll kill both of you then and everyone else here." Adam then throws an electrified punch at All Might, but All Might catches it, returning an uppercut to his jaw which launches Adam into the sky. This causes Izuku and All Might to fly into the sky where they repeatedly beat Adam. But even though Adam is able to get a couple of good hits and he is unable to beat the two of them, especially since they both have the extra power of one for all flowing through them. After a couple of minutes of hitting Adam higher and higher until they get above the clouds and see Adam stop resisting their punches, now being knocked out, they then let Adam fall back to the ground, falling into his initial creator. While the two of them fly down, All Might thanks Izuku for sharing his power with him, going on to say that even when he doesn't have one for all, he'll now be able to use this to help people. Once landing, they see all of the UA staff in Class 1A there looking at them, but before they can talk, they see the wizard appear. As soon as the barley conscious Black Adam notices the wizard, he says, "I'm going to kill you someday. Not anytime soon, Adam. For now I'm going to send you back to the farthest star in the sky, hopefully. You won't come back after seeing how you can't win with our new champions here." After hearing the Shazam's plan, Adam's face fills with fear and dread, saying intently, "No, you can't, not again, I won't let you." Shazam. Once the magical lighting hits him, Adam changes back, then quickly aging thousands of years in an instant, turning to dust. Side note, this happens because all the years of him aging were halted until he transformed back where they all hit him at once. Seeing that Adam is no more, the wizard looks at Izuku and All Might saying, "We need to talk," then vanishing into thin air. Once the wizard disappears, a bunch of questions get yelled at Izuku and All Might like, "Who is that bad guy and what happened to him? What is this power? Who is that old guy?" and much more, until Nezu stops them saying, "I'm sure they had their reasons and I hope they will be explained later. But for now we have to worry about the injured and the villains who are still on the premises." Izuku and All Might then transform back. Izuku then goes with the rest of the students, who get escorted outside to the newly arrived authorities, who make sure they are okay. And All Might stays with the rest of the staff and helps round up all the defeated students, dodging any questions the staff has about the power he showed. After all the students get checked out by the paramedics, the police get statements from them about what happened during the attack, and they all talked about Izuku and All Might's transformations. Eventually, when that was brought up to Izuku, he just explains that his transformation him into a stronger form, only increasing his physical attributes. Then once the questioning was over, the class was given the next 3 days off, but Izuku and All Might were called in for a meeting with Principal Nezu in 2 days. A couple of hours later, Izuku calls All Might, telling him to meet him at Dagaba Beach tomorrow at 3 p.m. At 3 p.m. the next day, All Might arrives seeing Izuku there staring out at the water. "Izuku, what was it that was so pressing that we had to meet today?" Izuku then turns to All Might saying, "We need to go talk to the wizard. I don't think it's anything too serious, but who knows what he has to talk to us about." The two of them then walk to the nearest building, opening a doorway for them to get to the Rock of Eternity. Once getting there, Shazam tells them, "You two had a great victory yesterday, but now it's out there that you both have some other power, so from now on you'll both have to be more careful. Someone is going to eventually make the connection with these powers, and since you can still share it with 5 other people, this now speeds up the process at which you must find your fellow champions, Izuku." Izuku nods at this, saying, "I know, wizard. I just need to find others I can trust to open my heart to and share this power. I know it seems difficult, Izuku, but I once heard a saying of those who you are looking for are always closer than you expect." "What does that mean, wizard?" "That's for you to find out. Now, Toshinori, you have been given a greater power that comes with a whole bunch of responsibilities that you have let to learn, just like Izuku did." "I think I got this, wizard. I've been a hero for a long time and have had lots of responsibilities with that." "Oh, is that so? Well then, do you know everything your new powers entail, and do you know what magical beings you'll eventually have to face with these abilities?" "Well, not yet. So you do need to train. Let's get to it." "Oh, and Izuku, you can now go. Me and Toshinori must get some training." Izuku then nods to Shazam, saying, "Have fun," to All Might before heading home. The next day, Izuku arrives at the school, attempting to push his way past the small mob of reporters outside the school who try and question Izuku, but they surround Izuku, not letting him get away. So Izuku activates full cowl, jumping over UAS gate to get away from the mob. Once Izuku gets onto school grounds, the reporters try to follow but are unable to because of UAS defenses. Izuku then walks over to Nezu's office and walks in, seeing Officer Hasakai, Nezu, and a deflated All Might sitting there waiting for him. "Sorry I'm late," Izuku quickly says, bowing his head at the 3 men before taking a seat beside All Might. "No worries, Izuku. It gave us a nice opportunity to have some tea and a nice chat. Now let's get to why I called you here. We heard you both showed some sort of power that is different from what you told us about in your statements. So can you tell us what's actually going on?" Izuku and All Might then look at each other. Izuku asks, "Can we trust them?" "Yes, Izuku. They both know the secret of One for All. I think it won't be anything new for them to know about a unique power." Izuku nods at this, then going on to explain the power Shazaam bestowed upon Izuku, and how Izuku now shared the power with All Might, and how he is looking for 5 other people to become the other champion. Once Izuku finishes explaining this, Nezu and Officer Tsukachi give a shocked look, then asking for a demonstration of this power. Izuku then asks if they could go somewhere without cameras as well as being isolated outside, which they agree to, then having Nezu lead the way to a barren area in the vast space that is on the UA property. "We are here, Izuku. Now what? Just back up in All Might and I'll show you." Nezu and Tsukachi then proceed to take a step back before Izuku and All Might simultaneously shout Shazam. They watch as the 2 bolts of lightning come down, transforming Izuku into an adult form wearing a red costume with a yellow lightning bolt, and transforming All Might into a much healthier and buff form wearing a similar suit to Izuku's, just inversely colored. Izuku then looks at the 2 men with amazed looks in their eyes, smiling and saying, "You want to see what this can do?" Next time, Izuku and the rest of the class will come back to school, and they will have to go through the challenge that is the UA Sports Festival. Will Izuku be able to handle the fact that his secret is out? Outro. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there is a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the recruitment Discord in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day. Hey, what is up, mortals? Welcome to Season 1, part of What If Deku Had Shazaam's Powers. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the story. Last time the USJ was attacked by the League of Villains, and Black Adam arrived, causing Izuku to have to reveal the power Shazaam bestowed upon him to his classmates and teachers. Although, thanks to Izuku sharing his power with All Might, they were able to take down Black Adam and save the day. Izuku and All Might also let Principal Nezu and Officer Tsukachi know of the secret of their bestowed power. Izuku now has an accelerated timetable, having to find the other 5 champions he can share his responsibility, power with, before people realize what his power can do. We're finally going back to school. I wonder what's going to happen now since they know. Izuku thinks while walking to UA. Once getting an eye shot of UA, he sees the reporters. They're still here just like yesterday. "I wonder if they're going to let me pass this time," Izuku mutters aloud. Izuku then calmly walks up to the school's entrance trying to get through, but is stopped by them, and they ask if he can just answer a couple of questions. Knowing they won't let him pass until he's at least answers something, says, "Fine, I'll answer one question." They all fall silent until one reporter asks, "What is this power that you supposedly have that you haven't shown before?" Izuku looks at the reporter for a moment, then saying, "The reason I didn't show my transformed form is because I used it to help people like a hero. I know I shouldn't have. I should have left it to the real heroes, but I couldn't stop myself from helping those in need." Izuku then walks towards the entrance, now being let through by the reporters, heading straight to his classroom. Once Izuku opens the door to his class, everyone goes silent. Izuku ignores the quietness and the stares from his classmates, instead just walking to his desk then sitting down. All is quiet until Bakugo walks in, immediately locking eyes with Izuku and speedily trusting to Izuku's desk, shouting, "What was that power, shitty nerd?" Izuku then looks at Bakugo saying, "How about instead of me explaining, I just show you guys? Bakugo, can you open the window for me?" Bakugo then opens the window with a confused look. "What's this for you, nerd? Just watch," Izuku says with a smile, now running towards the window, then jumping out the window and shouting, "Shazam!" Seeing Izuku jump out the window concerns the class, causing everyone to quickly get to the window, where they see a cloud of smoke. Once it clears, they see an adult-looking Izuku flying towards the class. Once getting to the window, Izuku says, "I can do more than fly in my transformed form. Can I come into the room to show you guys?" After hearing this, the class moves back to their seats, where Izuku then proceeds to show off his super speed by running around the class faster than they can see, then showing his super strength by picking up some of his classmates with one arm, then showing his lightning off by charging the class's phones. Izuku then gets everyone to attack him as hard as they like, but their attacks don't even leave a scratch. Although, in the middle of Aoyama shooting his laser at Izuku, an injured Aizawa walks in, immediately shouting, "What are you doing? Stop now!" Then activating his quirk on Aoyama. Aizawa then tries to use his eraser on Izuku, but it doesn't work, which confuses him. Although, before Aizawa can get to the bottom of it, Izuku gets to the window and transforms back into his regular form, then sitting back in his chair. Aizawa then walks up to the podium and stares at the class for a second, lost in thought, until Ida asks, "Are you okay, sir?" This snaps Aizawa back to reality saying, "Yes, I just got lost in thought for a second. Anyways, I hope you're all feeling better and more confident after that attack because we are going to need to be ready." The class then bursts out, asking if they were under attack again, but Aizawa tells them to calm down, then going on to explain how the sports festival is coming up, and they all need to be ready. This calms down the class, who then start to get excited about the coming event. They then go through the rest of their day, but they all notice they're getting stared at in the halls from other students, having Izuku consistently get the most people silently staring at him. Eventually coming to the end of the day when they try and leave for the day but see a crowd of students all around their class door. This event happens like canon, but some of the kids say how Izuku doesn't look like any big deal. After this incident, they go about their regular school lives for the next 2 weeks, as well as training individually to prepare for the sports festival. On the day of the festival, Class 1A walk onto the field immediately getting stared at by the stands. After the opening ceremony, Izuku gets called up to the stands since he got the most points in the entrance exam. Walking up to the podium, Izuku is giving himself an internal pep talk, then once walking up to the mic he says, "Hi, I'd just like to say I hope everyone tries their best and I hope we can all strive to be the best we can be and I hope this shows in our performances here. Good luck everyone." Once the obstacle race is announced, everyone heads to the door, but Izuku purposely stays in the back of the pack a couple of feet behind everyone else. Then once they hear Midnight yell, "Go!" a bolt of lightning comes down, and Izuku moves so fast through the whole obstacle race that no one even sees him, instead just seeing him at the other end going through the finish line. This shocks the crowds, leading to a massive shout of encouragement from the stands. For simplicity's sake, we are going to have everyone get the same positions they did in canon, and we are going to have everyone on the same teams as canon. For the cavalry battle, Izuku is going to use a different strategy where immediately after the battle starts Izuku transforms and flies super high into the sky with their headband so no one can get it. Then again, for simplicity's sake, we are going to have the same teams who moved on move on, the same battles take place. For all the battles with the exception of Izuku's are going to happen the same as canon. When Izuku and Shinso's fight starts, Izuku transforms and instead of responding to Shinso's attempts to get him to talk, Izuku will simply pick Shinso up and put him outside of the ring. Side note, Izuku is only able to stop himself from responding because of the wisdom of Solomon, which keeps thinking rationally. Once Izuku gets declared the winner, he lands shouting Shazaam. "Hey, you tried your best. I was just able to see through your strategy. I suggest you try and train your body just in case you get into a close quarters battle since you are currently most vulnerable then." Izuku then walks with Shinso into the backstage, giving him more advice about things that could help better him and giving him lots of encouragement, somewhat forming a new friendship. After getting to the watching area, Shinso and Izuku split off from one another to their specific class viewing area, where Izuku then takes notes on all the other matches, only leaving to give Uraraka words of encouragement for her battle against Bakugo. When walking back to the sitting area, Izuku is stopped by Endeavor, who says, "You were very impressive out there. I want you to go all out on Shoto. I need to see how much more training he needs to surpass All Might." Izuku looks at him with an angered look saying, "Endeavor, Todoroki may be your son but he isn't you. He gets to decide what kind of hero he wants to be, not you." Izuku then walks past Endeavor heading back to the viewing area, feeling bad that he missed the start of Odoraka's fight. Again, the rest of the battles leading up to Izuku's go the same, but before Izuku and Todoroki's fight start, Izuku and Todoroki shake hands, wishing each other good luck and respect for one another. Once the fight starts, Izuku powers up to 9% with full cowl, then dodging Todoroki's ice attacks while yelling at him, "If you're not going to use your full power, then I won't use mine." Todoroki continues to attack with ice until he and his attacks get much slower. Izuku notices this and uses the decrease in speed to get a clean hit on Todoroki, sending him to the other side of the field, barely staying inside the area. Izuku then shouts, "You have no right to win if you're not going to go all out. I haven't even transformed and I am beating you. Use your power, it's yours, not his, and that's why I'm going to win this." Hearing this, Todoroki finally decides to use his fireside, melting the ice on his body, then say, "You wanted this, so don't blame me for what happens next." Todoroki then shoots a giant combination attack at Izuku, who smiles at this, yelling Shazaam. Once the lightning hits Izuku, he files at the attack while powering up to 100% full cowl and electrifying his fists with electricity, then throwing a massive barrage of punches, causing an enormous shock wave that completely cancels out Todoroki's attack and making a giant dust cloud. The whole crowd is silent, filled with anticipation for who the winner is, until they see Todoroki get thrown out of the cloud, hitting the back wall, then seeing the transformed Izuku with a torn-up costume and some slight burns. By way of out of bounds, the winner is Midoriya. The crowd then erupts with cheers for Izuku, who smiles before grabbing Todoroki and taking him straight to Recovery Girl. Izuku then tries to sit with Todoroki until he wakes up to make sure he's okay, but is unable to since his match with Bakugo starts. Once walking into the stadium, he sees All Might giving him a thumbs up while saying, "You can do this, young man," but he can't hear him because of the distance and loud crowd. Izuku then shouts, "Good luck, Kakan." But Bakugo just scoffs at the gesture, instead getting into a battle-ready stance. Once Midnight shouts go, Izuku starts to say Shazaam but gets cut off by a vast explosion that nearly pushes him out of the ring. Realizing Bakugo's strategy, Izuku figures he needs space, which he can't get without some injury. So right before Bakugo's next attack can knock Izuku out, he does a 60% jump straight up while shouting Shazam. Once the bolt of lightning hits Izuku, he transforms and immediately flies down at Bakugo, attempting to just push him out of the ring, but Bakugo is narrowly able to dodge the attack, returning an explosion to Izuku's back in its stead. Bakugo, then heavy breathing, arms shaking from overuse of his quirk, looks at Izuku saying, "Is that all you got, Deku?" "Not even close, Kacchan." Izuku replies, immediately rocketing at him, but right before getting close he heads upward, shooting electricity at Bakugo, who gets stunned, giving Izuku an opening to push Bakugo out of the ring, giving the victory to Izuku. After Izuku is officially declared the winner, Izuku shouts Shazam and runs over to Bakugo, offering his hand to help him up, which surprisingly Bakugo accepts. "That was a good fight, Kakan," Izuku said with a smile on his face. "Yeah, I guess it was, but next time I'm going to mop the floor with you, now that I've seen your tricks. I can't wait." The two boys then walk together backstage to get a quick checkup from Recovery Girl, having a slight chat about each other's performance in the battle. After getting a checkup and checking on Todoroki, Izuku and Bakugo leave to go accept their medals, which Bakugo begrudgingly accepts, unlike the forceful acceptance like Kanon. Once All Might gets to Izuku, he hugs him, then handing him his medal, whispering, "You did it, my boy, you showed them." Hearing this causes tears to fill Izuku's eyes while he has a broad smile on his face. Then putting his right hand up into the air, tears in his eyes and a smile on his face. After getting the medal, Izuku walks back to his classmate, who all congratulate him, but Izuku can't help but notice that Ida has left without saying goodbye. That wasn't like him. Izuku then gets pulled over for an interview from Present Mike, where Izuku thanks all those who helped him get to this place. Once getting away from everyone, Izuku heads home, where he gets a big hug from his mom, who says with tears in her eyes, "I'm making your favorite meal tonight, as congratulations of your victory, Izuku." Izuku then has a nice dinner and chat with his mom, who tells him about how she was freaking out throughout the festival and cheering him on throughout it. Although after dinner, Izuku gets a text from All Might telling him to meet at Digapa Beach in an hour. An hour later, Izuku gets to the beach, where All Might immediately pick him up in his buff form, giving a huge hug saying, "Congratulations, young Midoriya, I'm so proud of you. You were able to make my request into a reality," and said, "I am here to everyone who was watching. Thanks, All Might. I really appreciate it, but enough about me. How's that extra training going with the wizard?" All Might's expression goes from happy to concerned, thinking about the training he has had be forced into by the wizard, then saying, "Yeah, it's going. How were you able to go through that?" "Determination, All Might. I was determined to become a hero no matter what it took." The two of them then sat on the beach talking for hours, just talking about the craziness that is their shared powers. Although, elsewhere, Shigaraki is talking to a monitor, discussing their plans on how they are going to get rid of the inevitable nuisance that will eventually come from Izuku Midori. Mid-ad. Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we have a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. If you are interested in content like this, please go check the description below or click the eye icon in the top right corner. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. Outro. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there is a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the recruitment Discord in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time. Peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day. Hey, what is up, mortals? It is welcome to Season 1 Part 6 of What If Deku Had Shazaam's Power. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the story. Last time the sports festival happened, and thanks to the power bestowed to him from Shazaam, he was able to become the winner. Although Izuku had this shining moment of joy, dark forces talk about their plans to get rid of Izuku. 2 days after the sports festival, Izuku is on the train heading to UA, but the passengers recognize him and somewhat mob, wanting to talk to him about his power. All the attention overwhelms Izuku, so he gets off the train at the next stop thanking the people for the compliments before running away to transform and fly to the school. Once getting on the premises, Izuku lands, seeing Ida saying, "Hey Ida, Shazam. Hello Midoriya. Why are you using your abilities? Were you in some sort of situation where you got permission to use them?" Ida replies while slowing down to walk with Izuku into the school. "No, not at all. I just kind of got mobbed by some people on the train who were congratulating me on the train." Izuku pauses with an astonished look on his face. "What is it?" Ada says with a concerned look on his face. "It was just overwhelming. A while ago I thought I'd never be a hero since I was a late bloomer, and now people are stopping me places just to talk with me," Izuku says with a smile and tears swelling in his eyes. It is a bit overwhelming, I'll give you that, but it does come with the territory. We all were going to have that happen with our career path. But Izuku, I know you're going to be a fantastic hero. Just look at what you can do already as a first-year student. Just imagine what you will be able to do when you graduate," Ada says with a satisfied look on his face. "Thanks, Ada. That means a lot coming from you also. I heard your brother had an accident. Is he okay?" Izuku says with a worried look on his face just before they walk into class. Once walking into class, Ida assures Izuku that his brother will be fine and that he doesn't need to worry about him, then apologizing about any unnecessary concerns. The conversation immediately gets changed when Uraraka walks up to them and talks about how it's so cool for people to be recognizing them just like everyone else in the classes. The class continues to talk about being recognized until Aizawa walks in, which causes everyone to get to their seats and be quiet. Once everyone is settled, Aizawa explains how they are going to be choosing their hero names today, then showing the agency offer results where only Izuku and Bakugo's results are different, Izuku having 55-0 offers and Bakugo having 43-0. Aizawa then explains how the offers are usually more spread out, and those without offers shouldn't be worried since the school made preparations with 40 hero agencies for those without offers to go to for their internships. Everyone then chooses the same names as in canon with Midnight's help. Then at the end of the day, All Might appears to Izuku telling him about Gran Torino's offer just like canon, and for simplicity's sake, we are going to have everyone go to the same place for their internships, and everyone's internships are going to happen the same as canon except for Izuku's. When the day of the internship arrives, Class 1A meets up at the train platform, everyone getting their costumes there. Side note, Izuku does have a costume for when he isn't transformed that looks nearly identical to the one that appears when he transforms. Before getting on their trains, Izuku and Uraraka run up to Ada saying, "I know you said not to worry, but if you need to talk to anyone, please call either Uraraka or me." "Thanks, but I am okay. Seriously, you do not need to worry," replies Ada. Even after hearing Ada assure them that he was okay, Uraraka and Izuku go and hug Ada, promising him everything will be okay. Then Uraraka waves to Ada and Izuku saying, "See you guys after the internship," although Izuku stands with Ada until Uraraka is out of earshot. Then looking at Ada with a concerned look saying, "I know you want to get revenge on the hero killer, that's why you choose an internship in Hasu. I'm not going to stop you, just don't be rash or stupid. Your family already had one awful thing happen to them, don't have there be a second." Once Izuku is done talking, he turns away from Ada, then walking to his train. Once Izuku gets to Gran Torino's place, he knocks on the door before letting himself in, then immediately notices that Gran Torino is lying face down in something that looks like blood. Immediately after seeing this, he drops everything, then turning Gran Torino over and checking for a pulse, but before he can, Gran Torino sits up, scaring Izuku. Izuku has an immediate sigh of relief before asking, "What happened? Are you all right, Gran Torino?" Torino ignores the question, instead asking, "Who are you?" "I'm Izuku Midoriya, the kid you gave a work studies offer to, but that doesn't matter until I know you're okay. If you don't know what happened, we should immediately get you checked out at the hospital," Izuku replies. Izuku then gets up, and in the couple of seconds where Izuku isn't looking at Torino, he has gotten up and has started to look through Izuku's hero uniform. After a brief look through Izuku's gear, Torino says, "Put this on and let's fight. You seemed pretty impressive at the sports festival, but I want to see what you really got." Izuku then looks at him with a puzzled look saying, "So you're okay? If so, why were you laying face down in something that looked like blood?" "Oh, that. I just fell with a plate full of ketchup and sausage right before you arrived. Although you did respond quickly, good on you for that. Now let's fight," Gran Torino replies. "Well, do you want me to transform and fight you or just use one for all to fight you?" Izuku asks while giving another sigh of relief at the fact that Torino is okay. "I want you to go all out, so however you do that, I don't care, just do," Torino replies. Izuku then takes a couple of steps out the door before shouting, "Shazam!" causing the lightning to come down and transform Izuku. then walking back in and saying, "Let's do this." Torino immediately flies at Izuku, which Izuku easily dodges. Noticing this, Torino starts bouncing off the walls to try and attack Izuku from unorthodox angles. However, Izuku is able to avoid his first attack, just skimming Torino with a hit. Torino then builds up lots of speed and goes for one more attack, but Izuku is able to hit Torino to the floor, knocking him out. Immediately after hitting Torino, Izuku realizes his mistake of hitting him too hard, so he picks him up, seeing that he had broken Torino's nose from hitting him too hard into the floor. Izuku then quickly zooms around the building, finding the first aid kit, patching up Torino and tidying up the whole place in a matter of minutes while Torino is out cold on the couch. Eventually, after 20 minutes, Torino wakes up groggily, asking, "What happened?" Seeing Torino wake up, Izuku quickly gets to his feet, bowing and saying, "I'm so sorry I hit you into the floor and knocked you out. I tried to hold back, but it seems I didn't hold enough back to apologize while you were out cold. I cleaned your entire place and put my things in what I assumed was the room I was staying in." After hearing this, Torino sits up, having an amazed look on his face at the fact that from what he could see, his place was utterly spotless. Then saying, "Wow, it looks spotless. How long was I out? 2-3 hours. Izuku then looks at the clock, then replying, No, nothing that long. You were only out for 20 minutes. You did all this in 20 minutes. Wow, kid, you're quick." Torino replies. Izuku shrugs at the comment, saying, "I didn't even go as fast as I could to clean, primarily because I was concerned papers and such might fly all over the place if I did." This brings a smile to Torino's face, saying, "You are a really impressive kid. Toshinori called not long before you arrived and said you were out of this world powerful, and I see he was right. So what is this other power you have that Toshinori mentioned?" Hearing this, Izuku gives Torino a hesitant look before getting him to agree to keep his secret of his power. Once Torino agrees, Izuku explains the power Shazaam bestowed upon him and how he is looking for others to share the power with besides All Might. Throughout hearing this, Torino's face became filled with more and more shock until the end, where his mouth was wide open in awe of Izuku's power. After a minute of just sitting there, Torino pulls himself together, then asking, "So your power is from the gods that a wizard bestowed upon you?" Izuku nods at this, which gives Torino an interested look before saying, "And I thought one for all was an interesting and powerful quirk. Yours is just in another league. Wow." The two then talk the rest of the night about what Izuku can do and how in his usual form, he can only control around 20% of one for all, but in his transformed form he can fully control the quirk as well, explaining how with the wisdom of Solomon, he knows there are other things in the power, but he didn't really know what it meant. For the next couple of days, Izuku trains to hold back his power even further back while transformed, and trains to strengthen his regular body at the same time. After those days, Torino goes with Izuku to a big city a day earlier than canon, where they spend the end of day, night taking down criminals fairly easily, efficiently. Everything seemed to be going great with Izuku's internship until the next night, where on the train ride to the big city their train is attacked by a Namu like in canon. Seeing the Namu, Izuku immediately shouts Shazam and flies into the Namu at full speed, slamming it into the pavement, knocking it out. After a minute, Torino catches back up with Izuku, saying, "That was reckless, Izuku. I know you're strong, but you could have gotten hurt. Although it looks like this place will be needing all the help it can get, so you have my full permission to use your abilities to help in any way you can." Izuku nods at this, then putting a smile on his face and flying off to where the action looked to be happening. Once Izuku gets there, he sees Endeavor and some other pro heroes fighting a Namu, which Izuku shoots lightning at from a distance, which pulls the Namu's attention to him. The Namu then charges at Izuku, but Izuku punches the Namu with a one-for-all, lightning-powered punch, sending it flying into the air. Izuku then flies up to the midair Namu, then grabbing it and hitting it back down, but he does catch it right before it hits the ground as to cause less damage to the area. Seeing this display of power shocks the heroes on the scene, Endeavor then asks Izuku, "Who are you?" "Hi, I'm Deku and I'm here to help," Izuku replies with a smile on his face. "I've never heard of some super powerful pro named Deku. Why don't I know of you?" Endeavor quickly says. Although before Izuku can reply, Torino arrives, saying, "That's because he's a first-year UA student who is currently interning with me." This fills the pros' faces with shock and awe. Then Todoroki walks forward, saying, "Izuku's actually in my class." "Oh, hey Todoroki, good seeing you. Have you seen Ida?" "He should be around here with his pro hero somewhere," Izuku replies. Hearing Izuku's concerns for Ada, Manuel steps forward, saying, "Ada's training under me, but I don't know where he is. Right before all this stuff happened, he disappeared." Izuku immediately realizes what Ida must be doing, saying, "You guys handle the other stuff, I'll go find Ida," right before rocketing off at full speed to look for it. Thanks to Izuku's immense speed, he finds Ada in under 2 minutes. Izuku sees a man with a sword standing over Ada, so he flies at the villain, knocking them into a wall, somewhat stunning them. Izuku then crouches down to Ada, saying, "Are you okay, Ada?" But before he can get an answer, Stain has jumped at him, hitting Izuku with his sword. However, on impact the sword shatters, surprising Stain, who has a questioning look fill his face right before Izuku punches him into a wall, entirely knocking the villain out. Once Izuku is sure the villain is genuinely out cold, he quickly checks on Ida, then noticing Native, who he then checks on and gets rope to tie up Stain. Izuku then picks up the three of them, flying Ida and Native straight to a hospital, and handing Stain off to the authorities he found on his way to the hospital, explaining how Stain is the hero killer, and he'd be right back after bringing Ida and Native to the hospital. Once making sure that and Native were okay, Izuku heads back to the cops, giving them info to contact him after everyone was safe before zooming off to see if he can go help anywhere else. However, the last Nama was already taken down and was being taken into custody when he arrived back. Izuku then assured everyone Ida was fine and went to see if anyone needed help in damaged buildings, helping out until the morning when everything finally calmed down. Izuku then found Torino and made a statement to the police chief with Torino at his side. And unlike Canon, Izuku doesn't get in trouble for using his quirk, instead actually getting the credit for his deaths. Izuku then spent the rest of the day with Ida and Todoroki, who both were making sure Ida had someone with him at this tough time. Although at the end of the day, Torino gets Izuku to go on a patrol of the city with him, and the two stay in the city and patrol it for the rest of the week. At the end of the week, Izuku says to Torino, "Thank you for helping me learn so much. You have helped me get so much stronger in such a short amount of time." Torino shrugs at this, saying, "Kid, you already were stupid strong. All I did was help you get more experience and help you learn to tone down your power more." The first day back, when Izuku walks into class, Izuku gets mobbed by his classmates, who ask him what happened, and Izuku just simply explains all he did, treating it like no big deal, but it amazes his classmate. Everyone then talks to each other about their experiences during their internships until they go to their next class, which is a rescue training race. When it gets to Izuku's group, most everyone bets Izuku is going to find All Might first except Bakugo, who continues to talk trash about Izuku. Once the exercise starts, Izuku shouts Shazaam, transforming him. Izuku then flies straight up, and once spotting All Might, zooms to him in a blur, getting to him long before the other competitors. Once winning, All Might says, "There are some things you should know about One for All. Meet me in the teacher's lounge at lunch." At lunch, Izuku meets up with All Might and learns the origin of the quirk and how All Might defeated All for One, which caused his long-lasting injuries. Next time, Class 1A will be having their final exams. Will Izuku succeed and pass his exam, or will he crash and burn during the tests? Mid-ad. Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we have a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. If you are interested in content like this, please go check the description below or click the eye icon in the top right corner. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. Outro. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there is a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We The Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the recruitment Discord in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day. Hey, what is up, mortals? Welcome to Season 1 Part 7 of What If Deku Had Shazaam's Powers. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the story. Last time, Class 1A participated in their work studies, and Izuku went to train under All Might's old teacher Gran Torino. During the work studies, Izuku became close to Torino and had extra days of training before the Hasu incident. When the incident began, Torino gave Izuku permission to use his quirk, and Izuku took down 2 out of the 3 Namas, and once realizing Ida was missing, Izuku found him and captured the hero killer Stain. Izuku then gained praise for his deeds, getting credit for his actions, and spending nearly the rest of his internship at the emotionally vulnerable Ida's side. After the studies were over, Izuku returned to UA, finally learning the secret of how One for All was made and who All for One is. Izuku looks out the window thinking about all the things that have brought him to this point. While his classmates all talk about the end-of-term test, Izuku only clues back into what people are saying after hearing Kaminari and Ashido's concern for the coming tests. And once hearing Mainta boast about his placement, Izuku stands up, walking over to his 2 concerned classmates, saying, "I know you guys can do this, and no matter what, as long as you do your best, you'll be the best." Well, that's easy for you to say. You have all this amazing power that you only really need to try and keep up with studies, Kaminari replies solely. Ashido then smacks Kaminari on the back of the head before saying, Thanks for the encouragement, Kaminari, and talk before he thinks. It's no big deal. For all he knows, he only sees me as this powerhouse. But Kaminari, keep in mind I did a lot of work to get where I am. Yes, I had some help, but everyone does in their lives, Izuku replies. After hearing this, Kaminari gives a friendly smile at Izuku, then saying, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just hard to imagine you in my kind of situation. I didn't think about the journey you had to go through to be what you are. I'm sorry for what I said, Midoriya. Ada then steps in saying, you two can bring your marks up. I suggest you just write down everything the teacher says like I do. It really works wonders. Or Kaminari, you could just show up to more of the classes and pay attention more in the classes you actually come to, Todoroki replies. Kaminari takes a slight offense to this but doesn't think on it for long since Yaoyorozu offers to help them up their grades and get ready for the tests. They both quickly accept this, and Ajiro, Gyro, and Siro ask if they can join in the study, which excites Yaoyorozu at the prospect of helping all of them. At lunch, Izuku sits with Ida, Todoroki, Uraraka, Asui, and Hagakure, where they all talk about how well they think they are going to do on the exams. Until Monoma bumps into Izuku, who then says, look who it is, the crappy hero who couldn't be smart and run away. You were lucky that your friend somehow beat the hero killer. Ida lowers his head in shame at this, not saying anything to Monoma. Izuku, seeing Ida's sadness, says, oh yeah, luck you say. How is it lucky that the villain's attacks didn't even leave a scratch on me? And I beat him in 2 punches. Monoma looks at this, scoffing before saying, you somehow lucked out against the hero killer. If you fought someone like me or anyone in Class 1B, you'd have no chance of winning. We are in a different league compared to you 1A. Attention hogs. Before Izuku can reply, Kendo comes up, hitting Monoma in the back of the neck, knocking Monoma out cold. Kendo then says, I'm sorry for him, he's the black sheep of the class. Also, I heard you talking about the coming test. I heard from a friend in a higher grade that we were going to be fighting robots again, like in the entrance exam. Monoma then wakes up complaining about how Kendo told them about their secrets, but Kendo just knocks him out again, apologizing again before dragging Monoma away back to their lunch table. After their next class, Bakugo confronts Izuku, telling him how the sports festival win was a fluke and that he had no chance of beating him in the coming test. Then for the final week before the test, all of Class 1A studies hard for the end-of-term written test, which luckily they all pass. Eventually, on the day of the practical test, 1A meets with the teachers of UA and Aizawa tells them about the practical test they will be going through. For simplicity's sakes, we are going to have everyone's tests go the same as canon except Izuku and Bakugo versus All Might. Izuku and Bakugo's match is determined to go last, and while they wait, Izuku takes notes on his classmates' and teachers' performances. Eventually, when their test comes around, Izuku tells Bakugo his plan, and unlike canon, Bakugo listens since Izuku has somewhat gained some respect from Bakugo. Izuku's plan goes as follows. Izuku will transform and fight All Might, distracting him while Bakugo sneakily makes it to the exit. When the match starts, Izuku shouts, Shazam, and rockets down the street straight towards the already pre-transformed All Might. Seeing Izuku rush at him, All Might throws a fully charged punch at Izuku, and with the dust cover, he sends a massive blast of lightning at him. Izuku gets slightly slowed from the dust cloud and is taken by surprise when the lightning comes at him, striking him. Izuku then falls on his ass, saying, so that's what that feels like, with a slight grunt at the end. However, before Izuku is back on his feet, All Might is directly above him, flying straight towards him with a punch lined up. Seeing his chance, Izuku shouts, Shazam, which causes the lightning to come down. But it doesn't strike Izuku, no. It hits All Might, transforming him back into regular All Might. Seeing the opening, Izuku rockets up toward All Might, punching him upwards while also tanking a 100% hit from All Might that smashes all the remaining windows and slightly damages the buildings from the massive shockwave. It also launches Izuku back into the ground, forming a small crater. Izuku then gets up, rubbing his neck before saying, oh, that wasn't nice, before flying up to confront All Might again. Izuku just gets above the clouds before a once again transformed All Might grabs hold of him, rocketing the two of them down into a large building and slamming Izuku through it all, while Izuku is hitting All Might with multiple one-for-all and lightning-charged punches. Once hitting the floor of the building, All Might punches Izuku multiple times while Izuku tries to block him, until Izuku shouts Shazam again, although All Might was expecting this, so he quickly grabbed the unexpecting Izuku and lifted him up towards the sky, causing the lightning to hit Izuku. Izuku then transforms into his regular form, thinking, shit, right before All Might punched him in the face, knocking out Izuku. Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. If you are interested in content like this, please go check the description below or click the eye icon in the top right corner. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. All Might then takes a breath, heavily breathing while feeling his back for a minute until he remembers Bakugo was also involved in the exercise. All Might then flies straight up and flies as quick as he can towards the exit gate, but All Might isn't even able to get past the next building before hearing the announcement that Izuku and Bakugo passed the test. All Might then stops midair saying, "Huh, good job, kid. You distracted me while Bakugo got to the gate." He then flies back to the wrecked building where Izuku is out cold in and flies him to the nurse's office. Recovery Girl then heals Izuku from only a big bruise on his head, which Izuku then promptly thanks Recovery Girl for. Izuku then leaves the office, catching back up with Ada and Uraraka, then talking to the two of them about how the tests went. Although, Bakugo walks up to the three of them saying, "Hey you damn nerd, good job on the strategy today. I'm only congratulating you because we won and I'm happy anytime you take a beating." Jumping to the summer, Izuku gets contacted by All Might, who asks him if he wanted to fly to Island with him and spend some time with him there. Izuku doesn't need All Might to invite him since Izuku won the sports festival. Side note, for simplicity's sake we are going to have all the people who were at the Island be at Island. When Izuku and All Might get off the plane, they get swarmed by reporters, and after a couple of hours, they are able to lose the mob and meet up with Melissa Shield. All Might then introduces Izuku to Melissa before she leads the two of them to her dad's lab. Once getting to the lab, All Might and Melissa surprise David like canon, and All Might introduces Izuku to David, although Izuku fanboys for David, going on about lots of the things he has done. They all then chat for a couple of hours until David tells Melissa to show Izuku around the expo. Melissa then walks around with Izuku, where they get to know each other better. Although, back in David's lab he is shocked by All Might's power readings, saying, "Weren't you injured, Toshi?" "Yeah, I kind of found a way to get a lot better. Why are you so surprised?" All Might replies in a confused tone, "I'm shocked because your power isn't just back to your pre-injury power, it's nearly twice as strong as it. How'd you become so much stronger?" David asks in an intrigued tone. All Might shrugs at him before saying, "It's a trade secret, Dave." David swivels his chair to be pointing towards All Might, giving him another intrigued look. "Toshi, you can trust me. I've known you for years, you can tell me how you did it," replies David. "I'd love to, but it isn't my secret to just tell. If I were to tell it, I'd have to get you Midoriya's permission. Frankly, I'm not the best person to explain it. All I can tell you is that with the increase in my physical prowess also came some new tricks," replies All Might. "That kid you were with is the one that is thanks to all this power." "Wow, and what do you mean new tricks?" David replies. All Might then starts to fly, saying, "This is just the first new trick." All Might then showed David all the things he was able to do without explaining how he attained his new ability. Back with Izuku and Melissa, she shows Izuku around more of Expo, showing him lots of cool advanced tech, and they talk about what both of their driving forces are to become a scientist and hero respectively. Izuku and Melissa have a good time walking around until Uraraka, Yaoyorozu, and Gyro appear, jump scaring the two of them. The three girls then question Izuku about what they think is a date with Melissa, but Izuku stops them, saying, "Why you think this is a date? No, it isn't a date. Melissa and I are just friends, and she's been showing me around the expo." The five then go to the cafe, and Melissa chats with Izuku's classmates, getting along with each other much to Izuku's relief. They chat until Kaminari and Minto appear, surprising their classmates that they are working at the cafe. Although, before Kaminari and Minto can chat for long, Ada appears lecturing the boys to get back to work. Yaoyorozu then explains how they got here, which is the same as canon, and Melissa promises to show all of them around when the expo is open, but their conversation gets interrupted when they hear an explosion nearby. Once they get to the source of the noise, they see Kirishima defeat several robots in 33 seconds, getting the 8th place on the leaderboard. Bakugo then follows him up, clearing the robots in only 15 seconds, getting 1st place. Kirishima then notices his classmates in the stands and greets them. This brings Izuku's arrival to Bakugo's attention, causing Bakugo to get in Izuku's face, saying, "What are you doing here, shitty nerd?" "I am watching the competition. What's it look like, Kakin?" Izuku somewhat sternly replies. Bakugo then grunts at this, jumping over the railing before Izuku gets pushed into signing up for the competition. Izuku then walks up to the start and shouts Shazam, causing the lightning to come down, transforming Izuku. He then powers up to 80% of One for All. Once the time starts, Izuku moves so quickly that no one even sees him move, only feeling the shock waves from his movement. And the timer stops with Izuku completing the course in 2.1 seconds. This shocks the crowd, which then erupts in cheering for Izuku. He then waves before shouting Shazam, then using full cowl to jump back to where his classmates are. Once getting to his classmates, Bakugo grabs him by his shirt, saying, "Who do you think you are upstaging me?" "Me of all people, I'll kill you, Deku." In an anger-filled raspy voice, Bakugo completely ignores Todoroki's results, being too caught up in his own head. Todoroki then joins his classmates and walking around with them. They all then meet back up with Minta and Kaminari, and Melissa invites them to the party, which brings the boys to tears. Ada then tells everyone to meet at the party at 6:30 p.m. before leaving the group. Everyone separates to go get ready for the party in their own rooms. Later, Izuku shows up late for the meet time, being 10 minutes late, seeing Ada, Todoroki, Kaminari, and Minta waiting for him. Izuku then gets scolded by Ada for a minute before the girls arrive. They all are about to join with the party until villains appear, stopping All Might's speech short, and the villains tell them how they have taken over the island. Izuku and his friends then see the hostage situation going on and freeze, trying to figure out what to do. XD time. Will Izuku and his friends be able to save everyone on the island, or will they end up as more hostages and make things only worse? Find out next time. Outro. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there is a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We The Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the recruitment Discord in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time. Peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day.